Hi children, how are you all? Hope you all are doing good. Yes, so happy to see come back again. So welcome to the next session, children. So everything is fine. Yes, okay. So we are discussing the lesson that is diversity in living organisms. So we reached to the last concept, and in a classification of animals, the kingdom of animals, we discussed and we completed about invertebrates. So let us have a discussion on vertebrates. Okay, so previous to going to vertebrates, there is a organisms which are called as hemichordates. Hemichordates or the protochordates. So let us see what are protochordates and what are their characteristics. So protochordates means previous to chordates. Proto means first, previous to chordates. What are the chordates? Chordates are nothing but the organisms which are having vertebral column are called as chordates. Okay, so animals which have a vertebral column or the spinal cord are called as vertebrates. So these protochordates are nothing but, or hemichordates are nothing but, they have a rod like a structure which seems like a spinal cord, that is called as a notochord. So hemichordata was earlier considered as a subphylum of chordate. So like chordates, it has a pharyngeal gills. As like the gills, they have the pharyngeal gills. It is the characteristic. So coming to the gradation of these hemichordates, they have a organ systems. That means they are from the cellular level. So we can find a cellular level, tissue level, organ system level. So all the organ systems are also, they may be present. So the body is bilaterally symmetry. Bilaterally symmetry means the body can be divided into equal halves and organs can be divided into equal share. Okay, and coming to the germinal layers, these are the triploblastic animals. We can find outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner endoderm. So three layers. If the body is covered by three meningeal layers, such organisms are called as triploblastic animals. And the coelom, the body cavity. These are the coelomates. True coelom we can find. You can see the body cavity. So ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, and a coelom you can find there. Coelom. So the coelom is a body cavity. These have a true body cavity. So they are the true coelomates, eucoelomates. And coming to the habit and habitat, exclusively they find in the marine. So mostly they are found in the oceans and the seas. And the digestive system is complete digestive system. You can see here children, proboscis, and inside the proboscis you will find a mouth, and at the last you can find the circular parts, you can find anus. So if the organisms are having from the mouth to the anus as the digestive system, so such organisms are having or said to be they are having a complete digestive system. Coming to the respiratory system, gills are the respiratory organs. Children, you can find the orange color circulatory part, that are gills, that are the parts which help to have a respiration. So the respiration which takes by the gills, such a respiration is called as a bronchial respiration. Now the circular system. The circular system, it is a open type of circular system. You can find a part of the heart, ventral blood vessels, and dorsal blood vessels. So the blood flows through the blood vessels, and actually it is a open type of circulatory system. Okay, so the oxygenation process will take place inside the tissues. And coming to the reproduction, these are the dioecious organs. Dioecious organs means male is a male and female is a female organ. And the external fertilization. So if the fertilization takes place outside the body, that fertilization is called as external fertilization. So in these organisms, the process of fertilization will take place outside the body. That's why it is called as a external fertilization. So you have an idea what is a fertilization? Fusion of male and female gametes. So the fusion will take place outside the body, and the development is indirect. The development of the organism will be indirect. And coming to the unique features of these organisms, worm-like cylindrical body formed of anterior proboscis. So proboscis, you can see the part there. No, the body is worm-like a structure. They look like as a worms. So the front part, the anterior part is consists of proboscis, a collar and a long trunk. See there, you can see the part, the trunk. That part of the body throughout the body is called as a trunk. And you can find a collar part. So blue color highlighted letters, you can see the body is consists of unique features that are the anterior part consists of proboscis, and they have the collar, and also they have a trunk. That is the unique feature. And the collar base, the stomacord. What is a stomacord? A rudimentary structure similar to the notochord. It seems like a notochord, which seems like a notochord. What is a notochord, children? Which seems like the backbone. Okay, seems like the backbone, but it is not a backbone. So here you can find a collar base stomacord, which means a rudimentary structure similar to the notochord, and excretion by the proboscis gland. So the process of excretion takes place by the proboscis gland. So the excretory organs in hemichordata are the proboscis glands. So here you can see the examples: balanoglossus, tongue worm, and sacogloss. These two are the examples of the hemichordate. Okay, so the previous organs of the chordate are called as hemichordates. So, or also they can be called as a protochordates. Coming to the gradation of organization, in chordates. So in chordates, the gradation of organization you can see at a glance. So the organ system is, they are having organ systems. These are bilaterally symmetrical. They are the triploblastic animals, and they are the having a body cavity, that are the coelomates, and most they are exclusively found in the murines, and they have complete digestive system, and the respiration takes place by the gills, and the circulatory system is open type. Coming to the reproduction, they are the dioecious organs, that means male is a male and female is a female. And the external fertilization, out of the fertilization takes place out of the body, and the development is indirect. Coming to the unique features, they form like a cylindrical body with the proboscis, collar, and a trunk. So the collar bears the stomacord, and the excretion by the proboscis gland. Examples are the balanoglossus and saccoglossus. These are some of the examples. So these are the characteristics of the hemichordates or the protochordates. After that, we are coming over to the phylum chordates. Chordates means the organisms which are having a well-defined backbone, the spinal cord, are called as chordates. So these chordates are divided into 5 classes. So here you can find the phylum Chordata. Let us see. It includes the animals with a notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord. You can find the picture which is surrounded. The circulated parts, observe. What is a dorsal nerve cord? Dorsal tubular nerve cord and a pharyngeal gill slits. Pharyngeal gill slits which helpful for the process of respiration. These are some of the characters for the chordates. Once let us see the differences between chordates and non-chordates. So notochord is found in a embryonic stage for the chordates, and the notochord is absent in the non-chordates. Central nervous system is dorsal, hollow, and single. So it is in the chordates. And coming to the non-chordates, ventral, solid, and double. And the pharyngeal gill slits are present in the chordates. The pharyngeal gills are absent in the non-chordates. And the ventral heart, they have a ventral side, the heart, and in non-chordates, dorsal heart, if it is present. It is at the dorsal side. So you are clear with what is ventral side and what is a dorsal side. Ventral side is a topmost and dorsal side is a bottom. Okay. So the post anal part, tail is a present. They have the tail for the chordates, and here we cannot find the tail. So that are the general characteristics. Coming to the three subphylums of the phylum Chordata, subphylum Urochordata, subphylum Cephalochordata, and subphylum Vertebrata. These are the three categories subphylums in the chordates. So coming to the subphylum Cephalochordate, the characteristics are, you can find notochord from the head to the tail region. We can find the notochord from head to the tail region present throughout the life. We can find the part notochord, and exclusively they are marine. The sex organs are separate, that are separate sex organs. Male is a male and female is a female. So examples are branchiostoma, scientifically Amphioxus or a lanceolate. Okay, these are the examples of the cephalochordates. Next, phylum Urochordata. Here you can find a notochord is present only in a larval tail. When they are at the larval stage only, we will find the notochord. And the body is covered by the test made up of tunicin. Okay, so body is covered by the test. It is made by the tunicin material. Okay, exclusively they are in a marine. Marine means in the oceans. And they are hermaphrodites. What is meant by hermaphrodites? Hermaphrodites means organisms which are having both male and female gametes in a single organism. In a one organism, they consist of male and female. So in Urochordata, the examples are Asidia, Salpa, Doliolum. These are the some of the examples. You can see the pictures. Sapia, Salpa, Doliolum. So Asidia also. These are the some of the examples for the Urochordates. So let us come over to the vertebrates. The vertebrates. It is a subphylum of the chordates. In chordates, the subphylum is a vertebrata. So what are the general characteristics of the vertebrates? So generally the vertebrates possess the notochord during the embryonic period. When they are in the developmental stage in the form of embryo, they used to possess the notochord. Notochord is nothing but here it is a backbone. So in the picture you can find the notochord. And notochord is replaced by the cartilaginous bony vertebral column in adults when they become adult. So this notochord is replaced by the cartilaginous or a bony vertebral column. Vertebral column which protects the spinal cord. Okay. Ventral muscular heart. We can find ventral muscular heart. Heart is a ventral side, and kidney for excretion and osmoregulation. What is excretion? Process of elimination of waste out of the body is called excretion. So for elimination of the waste materials are carried out by the kidneys. And osmoregulation. What is meant by osmoregulation? Balancing the salt content in the blood or in the body. So balancing. So the excessive salts will be eliminated out of the body through the urine as well as through the sweating, etc. And it balances the enough of content of a salt in the body. Here we can find a paired appendages, fins or limbs. Fins means which helpful for the swimming of the water for the fishes. They are called as the fins. Limbs means hands and the legs. Both are called as limbs. Now, next subphylum in vertebrata is Cyclostoma. Let us see the general characteristics of the Cyclostoma. All are ectoparasites on some fishes. These are the ectoparasites. Ectoparasites means they act as a parasites outside the host. They act as a parasite outside the host. Elongated body without scales and a paired fins. Elongated body means stretched body, long body without scales, no scales, but they have a paired fins. Fins which are helpful for the swimming in the water. And now 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for the respiration. They have nearly 6 to 15 gills are there for the process of respiration. Sucking and circulation mouth without jaws. So sucking means absorbing, and circular mouth. The mouth is in a circular condition or a circular manner, which helpful for the sucking, but they doesn't have any jaws. Cartilaginous cranium. Cranium means the protective cover of the brain. Okay, so they have a cartilaginous cranium. The cranium is made by the cartilage. What is a cartilage? In animal tissues we discussed, no? It is not a bone, it is not a muscle. Not hard as a bone, not a smooth as a muscle, but it is a semi-smooth. If you see your ear pinna or your ear nose, if you press it, it is not hard as like a bone, or it is not smooth as a muscle. It is a connective tissue. That is a cartilage. So this cranium is made by the cartilage. So cartilaginous cranium and a vertebral column. Vertebral column is a protective cover for the spinal cord. And circulation is closed type. So blood circulated through the blood vessels, from the heart to the blood vessels. Okay, through the blood vessels to the heart, to the body parts to the heart, through the blood vessels. And these mostly find in marine, but migrate for the spawning to fresh water. When they want to spawn, that means when they want to release the eggs or the sperms to process of a reproduction, they migrate to the fresh water. So wherever they used to be, they won't spawn at that place. They will search for the better place for the spawning. So they will migrate. Okay, so they migrate for a spawning to fresh water. After spawning, they die. So after they release the eggs or the sperm, they will die. Their larvae, after metamorphosis, return to the ocean. So when they become into a larva, so the eggs are hatches. After hatching, the development stage is a larva. When they turns into the larva, again they will reach us to the oceans. Most of the cyclostome organisms, when they are in the oceans, they won't spawn. They reach us to the freshwater bodies like rivers, and they have their eggs into the fresh water. They release their eggs into the water or the sperms into the water, and they will die there itself. So these eggs gets to be hatched, and they develop in the larval form, and they reach us again to the freshwater bodies. So this is the some characteristics, general characteristics of the cyclostoma. So here you can see the vertebrates. According to our concept, we have given a vertebrate, the phylum Vertebrata. So these vertebrates are divided into two types, Agnatha and Gnathostoma. Agnatha means absence of the jaws. In the mouth, they doesn't have any jaws. And in the mouth, if they have jaws, they are called as a Gnathostoma. Agnatha are cyclostomes. Previously we discussed, no? That is a cyclostomes. And coming to the Gnathostoma, here you can see superclass. The superclass, Pisces, bear fins. All the organisms which bear fins, they are called as a Pisces. So they are most of the fishes. And the superclass Tetrapoda bear the limbs. Organisms which bear the limbs, Tetrapoda. Tetra means four. Poda means legs, four legs. Four limbs and hind limbs. The four limbs are nothing but the hands in ourselves, and hind limbs are the legs in ourselves. Coming to the animals, the four limbs are the front legs, and the hind limbs are the behind legs, back legs. Okay, these are the tetrapods. So all the Pisces, Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes, the fishes are divided into two types. That means the Pisces are divided into two classes, that are Chondrichthyes and the Osteichthyes. Coming to the superclass Tetrapoda, you can say amphibia, reptilia, aves and the mammals. Let us have a discussion about all these, each and every one. So coming to the superclass Pisces, the Pisces, the superclass Agnatha, the superclass Pisces bear the fins. The special character is bearing the fins, which helps to swim in the water. So these are divided into two types, that are chondrichthyes, cartilaginous fishes, and osteichthyes, bony fishes. See, those who are eating the fish, you have a better idea, no? In some fishes, they doesn't have a bones. Your parents mostly prefer to bring a boneless fish that are called as a cartilaginous fish. Why they used to bring boneless fish? Because you feel afraid to eat, no? That's why mostly prefer. That fishes are called as a cartilaginous fishes, and bony fishes are called as a osteichthyes. Okay, these are the two subphylums. Coming to the, we discussed already cyclostoma. Coming to the differences between the chondrichthyes and the class osteichthyes. So most of the chondrichthyes fishes, they are found in the marine streams, lined body, and predaceous. Predaceous means they hunt for the food. Prey, they hunt for the prey. Prey is a food. Animal which hunt, they are called as, the hunters are called as predators. Okay, so they are the predaceous. Most of them they hunt and eat other fishes. And coming to the osteichthyes, they are marine and freshwater. We can find both of them. So freshwater fishes and oceanic water fishes. We used to say, no, sea fishes or freshwater fishes, river fishes we used to say. No, that are marine water and freshwater. Streamline body. What is a streamline? See the picture. The body is which is helpful, which is suitable easily to swim in the water. So that body is streamlined. So in chondrichthyes, cartilaginous endoskeleton, notochord is present throughout the life. You can find the notochord in these fishes, and cartilage. You doesn't find any spines there. You cannot find any bones. These are cartilaginous fishes, no? So coming to here, bony skeleton. You can find many bones in these fishes. Bony fish is, you can see that is a katla, that is a bochu we used to call. And here this is another fish, shark. Shark is a cartilaginous fish. It doesn't have the bones. So these are the examples. So poikiloderms, these are the cold-blooded animals. What is meant by cold-blooded animals? Animals which are able to change their body temperature according to the environmental conditions. Such organisms are called as cold-blooded. So the cold-blooded animals are called as poikilotherms. And here poikiloderms. Osteichthyes also, they are the poikiloderms. These are also cold-blooded animals. The heart, you can find the heart, two-chambered heart, one auricle and one ventricle. Even here also, osteichthyes also, we can find one auricle and one ventricle. So in chondrichthyes, skin with placoid scales. Placoid scales, you can find in the picture the scales, how they are, placoid scales. Teeth are modified placoid scales which are backwardly directed. The teeth which are backwardly directed. Okay, and coming to the osteichthyes, scales are cycloid, ctenoid, etc. The scales are cycloid and ctenoid. You can find the structure, the cycloid and ctenoid structures in the picture. No air bladder, so they have to swim constantly to avoid sinking. As they doesn't have air bladder, for the process of respiration they have to swim regularly or continuously. In this osteichthyes fishes, we will find air bladder for a buoyancy. What is a buoyancy? Balancing the body in the water, on the surface of the water. Okay, so they have the air bladder. And coming to the chondrichthyes, sexes are separate, and osteichthyes, sexes also separate. Male is a male and a female is a female. So in chondrichthyes, in males, pelvic fins bear the clasper. You can see the pelvic fin. They bear the clasper. And coming to the osteichthyes, external fertilization mostly oviparous. All of them, they lay the eggs. Internal fertilization, Many are viviparous. So in chondrichthyes fishes, they don't lay the eggs. They give birth to the child, directly birth to the child. That's why they are called as a viviparous. But here these are the oviparous. The development is both are indirect. You can see the example, Scoliodon, it's a dogfish. And you can say great white shark there. Here you can see Prestes, sawfish, and trigon, stingray, and torpedo, electric ray. These are some of the examples of the chondrichthyes fishes. Okay, these all are chondrichthyes. Coming to the osteichthyes, as we said that they are found both marine and in water. Coming to the marine, Exocetus, that is a flying fish, Hippocampus, seahorse. These are the freshwater fishes. And Labioroho, freshwater fishes coming to here. Sorry, Exocetus and Hippocampus, they are a marine, which are mostly found in the oceans and the seas. Coming to the freshwater fishes, Labio is a fish, Roho, Katla. It is a type of fish, Clarius, Maguru. These are the freshwater fishes. And coming to the aquarium fishes, we used to grow in aquarium, no? The aquarium fishes are betta, fighting fish. Next one is Pterophyllum, anglefish. These are some of the examples of different types of the fishes. So the next subphylum in the vertebrates or the chordates, let us see the Torpedo. What is Torpedo? So the superclass Torpedo, it is a amphibia. What is meant by torpedo? The another name for the torpedo is amphibians. Amphi means two. Animals which live both on land and in water are called as amphibians. So they live in aquatic, in the water, terrestrial habitats, and need water for the breeding. So mostly they live in the water and they need more water for the breeding. Body has head and trunk. So the body is having a head and a trunk. Some have a tail. When they are in a tadpole condition, they have a tail. Moist skin without the scales. Most have the skin is always in a moistened condition. If the skin is not in a moistened condition, they are said to be dead. They will die. So always the skin has to be in a moistened condition. Most have two pairs of limbs, forelimbs and the hind limbs. Tympanum represent as a ear. They have a tympanum. In the picture, the part is given. Observe. That is a tympanum represent as the ear. And they have a three-chambered heart. In a fishes only we will find a two-chambered heart. And here we will find a three-chambered heart. What are the chambers? Two auricles you can find in the picture. Two auricles and one ventricle. These are the characters of the torpedo. Some more characters of the torpedo or amphibians. Poikiloderms. Poikiloderms means they can change the body temperature according to the environmental condition. Alimentary canal, urinary and reproductive tracts open into cloaca, which open to exterior. So you can find the parts alimentary canal and reproductive tracts open into a cloaca, which opens to exterior. And they have a respiration with the gills when they are in the larval form, and they respire through the lungs and the skin. So in the water they respire through the gills. They respire through the gills and they respire through the skin when they are in the water. And when they are on the land, they used to respire with the lungs. So the sexes are separate. Male is a male and a female is a female. So we can find external fertilization in the water and outside the body. These are the oviparous. Mostly they used to release the eggs. That's why they are called as oviparous. The development is indirect. And these amphibians lives in the aquatic terrestrial habitats. Mostly they live in the water and need water for the breeding. And the body has a head and trunk. Already we discussed. So they have a three-chambered heart. After superclass of amphibians, the next superclass is reptiles. So here The characteristics of the reptiles you can see here: dry and conified. Conified. Conified means which are having a tons. So the body is dry and they have a conified skin. Epidermal scales or the scutes they have on the skin. The snakes and the lizard shed their scales as a skin cast. So they shed their skin and again regain the skin. And they have two pairs of limbs. So they are if present, they have two pairs of the limbs. Mostly they will crawling mode of locomotion. They show the crawling. And tympanum represent as the ear. You can find the picture, the tympanum. So the tympanum acts as a ear for these organisms. So here you can find the examples: Bufo, Rana, Hyla, Salamander, Ichthyophis. These are the examples of these organisms. So here also some more examples are there: turtle, tortoise, tree lizard, wall lizard, garden lizard, crocodile, alligator. These are the examples of the Tarpedo. Reptilia, sorry. As I said that Tarpedo is a superclass. In superclass we will find these classes. So coming to this three-chambered heart. The heart is divided into three chambers but a septum partially separated ventricle. There is a septum which separated the ventricle. Heart is four-chambered in crocodiles. Only in crocodiles heart is four chambers. The other organisms they have three chambers. These are the poikiloderms. Poikiloderms means they can change the body temperature according to the environmental condition. Well-developed alimentary canal, that means complete alimentary canal, that is a digestive tract. And a respiration by the lungs, they respire through the lungs. And internal fertilization, inside the body the fertilization takes place. These are the oviparous and development is indirect. So you can observe the heart, reptilian lungs. These are the pictures of the reptilians. You can see some of the examples of the reptilians: Naja, cobra, Bangaras, Creta, viper. And coming to the poisonous snakes, python, non-poisonous. Python is non-poisonous snake. So the next subphylum, here you can see the aves. All the birds comes under this class, that is the aves. So coming to that, presence of feathers and the beak, forelimbs are modified into wings. So they have feathers which helps to locomotion or the fly, and they have a beak, and forelimbs are modified into wings which are flexible to fly in the air. Dry skin without the glands, except they have the oil gland at the base of the tail. At the base of the tail we will find the oil glands. Hind limbs have the scales and are modified into walking, swimming, or clasping trees branches. So the hind limbs are helpful. They are covered with the scales and they are helpful for the walking, swimming, clasping. That means catching the branches of the trees. No, that is called as a clasping. Clasping means tightly holding. So long, hollow, pneumatic bones. Long, hollow means they are very long, and hollow means they are empty bones. Pneumatic bones means filled with the air. The bones are filled with the air. So the tympanum represent as a ear. You can find the picture, that is a tympanum. It acts as a ear. So these are the general characters. And in aves, four-chambered heart. We can find four-chambered heart. And homeotherms. Homeotherms means these are warm-blooded animals. The animals which maintain constant body temperature. They doesn't change any temperature of the body. So if they are able to maintain the constant body temperature, such organisms are called as warm-blooded animals. So the term is called as homeotherms. Cold-blooded are called as poikilotherms and warm-blooded are called as homeotherms. The digestive tract has additional chambers. So the digestive tract has additional chambers that are crop and gizzard. So they have a crop and gizzard. In the picture you can find clearly. In the birds we used to see double respiration, air sacs connected to the lungs. The air sacs are connected to the lungs. So they'll show the double respiration. And internal fertilization. Fertilization takes place inside the body. These are the oviparous animals, and the development is direct. So you can find some pictures and the parts. So now coming to the examples: crow, pigeon, parrot, ostrich, peacock, penguin, vulture. These all are comes under the examples of the aves. All the birds comes under the aves. Bat is not a bird, it is a mammal. So the next class is a mammalia. So in mammalia, general characters. What is meant by mammals? Animals which are having mammary glands are called as mammals. Need to define, if you want to define, organisms which are give birth to the young ones and feed the babies with their milk. Such organisms are called as the mammals. Here you can find presence of mammary glands, milk producing glands. Mammary means not producing memory. Okay. The skin with the hair. The body is covered with the hair. 2 pairs of limbs for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, and swimming or flying. So they have 2 pairs of limbs which are helpful for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming or flying. And the external ear, we can see ear pinna, no? The external ear. And they have a 4 chamber heart, upper 2 auricles and lower 2 ventricles. That are the 4 chambers. Well developed alimentary canal. Well developed alimentary canal, complete developed. And the dentition is heterodont, thecodont and diffidont. These are what is a dentition? The process of arranging the teeth on the jawbone is called as a dentition. So different types of dentition methods are there: heterodont, thecodont and diffidont. So coming to the respiration, the respire through the lungs, the sexes are separate. We can find internal fertilization. These are viviparous. Viviparous means animals which give birth to the young ones are called as viviparous. So except echidna, platypus. Echidna and platypus are egg-laying mammals. They lay the eggs and feed the babies with the milk. That's why they are called as egg-laying mammals. You can see in the picture echidna and platypus at the last row. So the development is indirect. These are echidna and platypus are called as egg-laying mammals. You can see some examples here: platypus, kangaroo, monkey, flying fox. These are the examples of the mammals. Here some more examples: camel, rat, dog, cat and elephant. These are some of the examples. Some more are there, that is a dolphin, blue whale, horse, tiger and a lion. These are also examples of the mammals. So up to here we completed kingdom Animalia. So their general characters we completed. So due to this classification, Carl Linnaeus, he introduced the process of binomial nomenclature. So naming them, the system of nomenclature in which 2 terms are used to denote a species of living organisms. The first one indicated the genus and the second one specific epithet. So that species, that is a specific epithet means that is a species. Okay, so which is denoted. So every organism, when they are given to the name is in 2 names. That is first one is a genus and the next one is a species. So what is a nomenclature? The devising or choosing of a names for the things, especially in a science or other discipline. So the process of giving names to the organisms is called as a nomenclature. The body or the system of the names used in a particular specified names. How we have to give the binomial nomenclature and why it is important to give? Because language is a barrier for country to country. When we travel to another country, we cannot speak the language to that particular country. We may not know the language. So to break this barrier, this nomenclature, throughout the world, every organism has a scientific name. So when we go to any area, we are able to use these scientific names to use well and to break the barrier of the conversation. So language may not causes a somewhat difficult for us. Okay, so that process is called as a binomial nomenclature. So it has a process. The binomial nomenclature system combines two names into one to give all the species unique scientific names. So for every species we used to give a unique scientific name. So the first part of a scientific name is called as the genus, and the second part of a species name is called as a specific species. Okay, so here you can see the process. When we are writing about the binomial nomenclature, we have to follow some rules. The entire two part name must be written in italics. While we are writing, it should be in italic or underlined when handwritten. When we are writing, they have to be underlined. And the genus name always written first. Always the genus name has to be written first, and the genus name must be in a capitalized. Always the genus name should be right in a capital letters. And the specific epithet, that means species. Epithet means is a species, is never capitalized. The species name should never be given a capital letters. So here you can see some scientific names. The scientific name of the wolf, Canis ipius, and the lion, Panthera leo, elephant, Elephas maximus, and wide ass, Aqua africus asinus. These are the some of the examples. Coming to the mango, scientific name Mangifera indica, apple Pyrus malus, and pomegranate Punica grantum, and pineapple Anus sativum. Coming to the vegetables, Allium for onion, Solanum for potato, Cucumis sativa, that is a cucumber. So these are the some of the examples of the scientific names. So if you take here, Allium cepa. Allium is a genus name and cepa is a species name. Solanum tuberosum. Solanum started with the capital letter S, and tuberosum all are the small letters. So the Solanum is a genus name and tuberosum is a species name. Okay children, in this manner the scientific name should be given. So at the below we have given a small worksheet. Try to do the worksheet and collect the information, the economic importance of the fishes and the snakes, how the man used economically the fishes and the snakes. So this is a activity for this particular concept children. Hope you understood well. So see you in the next session children.